Before we start, let us first briefly introduce the Burmese language. Users of the language are mostly based in Myanmar. The red region on the left is the location of the country. The blue region on the right is a more accurate representation of the distribution of the Burmese language. The following is its language table. The subject we discuss here concerns the voiceless nasals in Burmese. Here are the words relevant to this topic, and words in quote are the corresponding English meaning. The little circles below the consonants indicate voiceless nasals. Also, just like the Chinese language, the Burmese is a tongue language, but here the tones are omitted because they have nothing to do with the questions.
Ma, na, Nichao, Gui, Noa, Ni, Ni, Mi, Mo, Ma, Nui, No.
Here are the questions. The first point has just been mentioned. The next point asks you if the pair in green and the pair in blue are allophones or phonemic. In other words, it is asking for each respective pair of consonants whether a voiced or voiceless nasal contrasts the meaning. The third point states both the voiced and voiceless variation of me mean phlegm, and asks if this contradicts the conclusion you made in question 2. Here is a hint for you. Think of the two American English pronunciations of economics, namely economics and economics, which are the same words although A and E are different phonemes. This phenomenon is sometimes called free variation. First, try and find the minimal pairs. You will find that there are 4 words coded in purple, and only their initial sounds are different. Here, because there are more than 2 words, we call it a minimal set rather than a minimal pair. Another minimal pair has been coded in pink because it is special. We will explain this shortly. Here, the minimal pairs are compared. The first 4 words differ only in the sounds of their initial nasal consonants, and they have different meanings. This shows that M or N, as well as being voiced or voiceless, distinguishes 4 different phonemes. The last pair in pink differs in a voiced M versus a voiceless M. However, both have the same meaning, phlegm. This kind of suggests that nasal sounds are not a phonemic feature. Compare it with English examples. A and A are separate phonemes, and those can produce minimal pairs. Contrasting example 1 and example 2. Fat, fate, sack, sake. We see A and A producing words of different meanings. However, in example 3, data and data, they do not contrast in meaning. Minimal pairs in example 1 and 2 prove that some phones contrast. But example 3 shows that these phones do not always have to contrast. The 2 phones in example 3 are free variations. In conclusion, N and N are different phonemes, and so are their voiced and voiceless variations. An additional case is the voiced M and voiceless M, which do not always have to contrast in meaning and are shown in pink here. We shall view them as the exception rather than the norm. Otherwise, it would suggest that voiced and voiceless nasal do not contrast meanings, and it will be complicated to make up new rules for the first two pairs. To put it simply, rules should be as simple as possible. Therefore, we shall view voiced and voiceless nasal variations as producing words of different meanings, and look at the last pair as an exception. The following are answers from the publisher which can be used as a reference.